White culture is more, hi, good morning. It's very polite in your face, but very backstabby in the back. That is the difference between black culture and white culture. Black culture, we wear our emotions on our sleeves. We're proud to say, I don't like this, I don't like that, man, fuck this, F that. That's black culture. White
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to this channel, and today we are going to talk about something that people in America debate all the time but rarely break down in an honest way. That is the difference between white American culture and black American culture. This conversation isn't about saying one culture is better than the other. It's about understanding history, experiences, and how those experiences shaped two very different cultural identities in the same country. Now, when you really study American history, you start realizing that these cultures were shaped by completely different realities. So before we go deeper into this conversation, let's first watch these clips and I'll be back.
Why is it okay that blacks can have a black-only dating app and blacks can have only black cast movies? Can we have a discussion about this? Something I've never really understood is, why is it that black people get so upset when a movie is made, or something like a movie is made, a TV series or whatever, and there's little to no black people, and they get so upset about it, about representation? But then when a black movie is made or a TV show and there's zero to few white people in the movie, they get mad if we even say anything at all. Like, where's the white representation? I don't want this to be a racist post, and I don't want it to be a hate post. I want it to be a discussion. Why is it okay for there to be blacks only dating sites, black only movies, but if we did a white only movie or a white only dating app, we would be targeted as KKK and racists and white supremacy? And isn't it hypocritical? Am I the only one who sees that this is hypocritical? Now, I've read up on it a little bit, and there's that discussion about, well, black people are a minority, and because minorities need some collective way to join together in culture. That just feels racist to me. If you're on a dating app, just put a preference to black people. If you're black and you want to date someone who's black, and if you're white and you want to date someone who's white, you just put that preference on. In a movie, like, if there's a superhero and they're written as a white person, then just let it be white. Like, why do we have to introduce race to be accommodating? We want to be representative, and we want to be sensitive to everybody's needs and how they relate in that culture. And I think it's beautiful when you do Pixar movies and it's about the Islanders or someone who's Spanish or black. I don't have a problem with any of those. They're great. Kids love them. My kids are interracial. My kids are half Spanish, half white. I'm not a racist guy. And I hope you guys get that. What bothers me is when there's a demand for all black something in some way, some medium, an app or a TV show, but just because they're a minority, it allows that exception of racism, that exclusion of white people. But if white people did the exact same thing, it wouldn't be okay, it wouldn't be acceptable, and we'd be labeled as racists. Now, projections are that white people will become a minority in the next few years. If that happens, are white people going to be allowed to do that then? Joining that minority excuse, that explanation? White people will be a minority, so we can then have white-only dating apps and white-only movies? And no one's going to be upset about it? I'm serious. I want to know. I'm not trying to start a big fight here and a bunch of people coming on here calling me racist and whitey and all that. I get that there's minorities and I get that they want to connect, but it doesn't feel like that. When you look at movies and apps, it feels like they just want to have an exclusionary clause in there. No white people. And that doesn't feel like culture connection. It feels like racism to me. Masked. So what happens when whites become minorities and then we want to have white-only things? Are we going to be labeled as racists? Is this a discussion we can actually have, a mature discussion? Or am I going to get bombarded and attacked and flagged and reported for being racist? Like, I want to know. Educate me. Educate me why it's okay. And educate me if it will be okay if roles were reversed in just a few years as population and demographics are projected to change. Let me know if you're going to be okay with roles reversed.
That was something that you was taught that the opposite culture was never taught. So I made a video about this whole black girl shower routine that's going around on TikTok, right? I made a video. Go check it out. I don't want to keep reiterating the point of the video. But the comments was what was really baffling to me. And a lot of white women were saying that they were never taught to take care of their skin. They were never taught to exfoliate or moisturize. So now I am curious as to what was being taught in your household that the opposite culture was never taught. So, for example, in my household, when I was younger in the black community, in my mom's, household, we were taught not to wash our hair every day. But I know a lot of white people wash their hair every day. Now, as I get older, as an adult, and, getting my hair done at the salon and stuff, I've learned different things that maybe what I was taught, not necessarily by my mom or nothing, but just in black culture and community, may not always been right. But I still, to this day, as a almost 38-year-old woman, I don't wash my hair every day. And that was just something that was taught, that we just didn't do that. But I know a lot of white people wash their hair every day. And I understand we have different textures of hair. But I just wonder if that is a cultural thing because of our texture of hair, that we don't need to wash it every day versus they do. I don't know. But anyway, comment down below and let me know something that you were taught as a black person or as a white person that the opposite culture may have never been taught. Like I said, that video was about moisturizing, and a lot of women stated that they were never taught about their skin. But in black culture, we absolutely was taught to moisturize in general, period. Whether you get out the shower or not, you need to put some lotion on your ashy elbows.
In general, don't wear their emotions on their sleeves. White culture is more, hi, good morning. It's very polite in your face, but very backstabby in the back. That is the difference between black culture and white culture. Black culture, we wear our emotions on our sleeves. We're proud to say, I don't like this, I don't like that, man, fuck this, F that. That's black culture. White culture is very, hi, good morning. I don't like you, but I'm keep smiling with you. Hi, good morning. Hi, neighbor. I don't like you. That's white culture. And like I said, a lot of you gonna fall for that. You're gonna fall for that. It's a very difficult thing to pick up on. But once you pick up on it, it's very like, motherfucker, you smiling too much. You weird.
So after watching these clips, nowadays, if someone mentions their belief about American culture, most people will assume that the dominant US culture is representative to all Americans. This assumption fails to recognize that there are many cultures making up the fabric of America. The predominant culture of white Americans has been developed over time as a result of European tradition being brought to America by immigrants from countries such as England, Germany, and Ireland, who have made contribution to how we eat, worship, celebrate, socialize, and govern. Example: food, religion, holidays, social norms, and political systems. Now, from a historical perspective, the underlying foundation of the white American culture has been the establishment of a certain type of values, such as individualism, property rights, and hierarchy, during a time when the European settlers created institutions that benefited only themselves. Those very institutions have subsequently evolved into what we refer today as mainstream American culture. Now, the culture of Black Americans developed much differently than that of the white Americans. Black Americans did not immigrate to the United States as a fact of free will in search of a better life, but instead came to the country through slave labor. Because of that, their culture developed in the context of resistance, survival, creativity, and community. Now, many of the current trends in American culture can be traced back to Black American culture. Music is a prime example. The jazz, blues, rock and roll, hip hop, and some elements of country music can all be traced back to creative expression of Black Americans, language, fashion, dance, and sports culture can also be traced back to creative Black expressions. The creating of a sense of community and strength in numbers has also been a major aspect of Black American culture. Black Americans were historically excluded from Black colleges and universities. Civil rights movement and community organization are all examples of how Black Americans have created their own institutions to define their culture. The differences in the way numbers of the two groups have historically experienced the American system has created very different perspectives on justice, equality, and identity within each group. For the vast majority of white Americans, the American system has functioned largely in their favor by providing them with opportunities to own land, build their wealth, establish their political power, etc. However, for the majority of Black Americans, the American system has created barriers through segregation, redlining, and discrimination. It's also important to note that although there are some major differences in these cultures, they have had a significant influence on one another's development. American culture is an amalgamation of many different groups' contributions throughout the history. But Black American culture has had an especially strong impact on the world as a whole. The way the Black Americans have impacted the global music and entertainment industry, sports culture, and even language through slang and fashion trends is truly remarkable. These are just a few areas in which you'll find many current fads originating from Black American communities. So now when we look at white versus Black American culture, we are really looking at two distinct histories that were shaped by the same country in two very different ways. When people understand the historical timeline of how two separate groups of individuals develop their individual identities, it will lead to more productive conversation about cultural identity, societal identity, and the future of America as a whole. Now, at this point, I would like to hear from you all as I conclude. What do you see as the biggest differences between the way white and Black Americans live? Please drop some thoughts in the comment section below, and please make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share this with anyone who could benefit from hearing the information contained in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.